Hello and welcome to Inside the IDB or Dentro del BID, a space where we open our virtual doors to you and give you some insights as to life within our organization. My name is Golda Bruce and I am a communication specialist at the Inter-American Development Bank. And I'm really excited to have the opportunity to speak with some remarkable colleagues of mine and share this conversation with you via LinkedIn, a remarkable group of Afro-Latina and Afro-Caribbean women that I work with. So let me begin today by introducing our guests for this session. With me today are Carina Cockburn, Trinidad and Tobago Country Representative, Leslie Ann Edwards, Operations Lead Specialist, Natalia Peña, who's the President of our Employee Resource Group, the Afro-Descendant Alliance Group, we call it ADAG, and Joanne Riley, Development Effectiveness Officer. Welcome, welcome, ladies. So honored to have the chance to chat with you. Our conversation today marks an important day for the region and for the world. Since 1992, July 25th has been celebrated as Afro-Latina, Afro-Caribbean, and Diaspora Women's Day. We commemorate this day to raise awareness about how we can promote inclusion, justice, and equality of Afro-descendant women in Latin America and the Caribbean. And before I get the conversation going with the first question, I just want to invite all of you watching to please send us your questions or your comments. We want this to be as interactive as possible, and we'll try to get to as many of those comments and questions as we can at the end of our discussion. I want to begin by stating that in commemoration of this day, our priority is to empower our community of women to create a space where our uniqueness and culture are celebrated. Joanne, I'd like to start with you. And it's a kind of strange question. Do you think of yourself in the context of the IDB as an Afro-Caribbean woman? What does that word, what does that term mean for you?
Wow. Okay. Hi, Golda. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and to participate in this discussion on the importance of having a sense of belonging. So honestly, before coming to the IDB group, this is not something I was very aware of. Of course, I'm Afro-Caribbean, I'm an Afro-Caribbean woman, but growing up in the Caribbean, particularly in Barbados, where there are a lot of Afro-Caribbean role models, women in particular, this was the norm, you know? So I had a sense of pride, but my pride was from a woman's perspective, particularly as my mother was such a force as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. But joining the IDB group, I had to consider the intersectionality of who I am, not just a woman, but an Afro-Caribbean one, and how I fit in and how I represent that. So for me, it was important to share my culture, to add to that which already exists within the IDB group, and to create a sense of inclusion or belonging for me. And I did this, and I actually continue to do this on every year by sharing my culture, my food, my music. So an example is every Christmas, I make these little Christmas cakes, or black cake as we call them in the Caribbean, and every Caribbean country has this. And I share these cakes with my colleagues. I also make sorrel, another Christmas tradition for our get-togethers in the office. And this kind of sparks conversation about Caribbean traditions, ingredients, customs. So this is my way of affirming my identity as an Afro-Caribbean, you can say, but it also helps to foster that sense of belonging to this diverse culture we have in the group.
Thanks, Joanne. I think we've all shared our fair share of recipes to initiate those conversations, those important conversations about belonging and culture and roots. But in terms of our career trajectories, Leslie, I'd like to bring you in here if that's okay, Leslie Ann. What has been your experience with our colleagues from diverse backgrounds, and how have they supported your career development and leadership advancement at the bank?
Thank you, Golda. Wonderful question. Good afternoon, my fellow panelists and all of our guests. It's a pleasure to be here and sharing this really empowering discussion. As you mentioned, allyship and being able to benefit from other colleagues. I think I was very fortunate with my experience in the IDB, where I was able to gain a mentor from another background, a woman also from a diverse background, who really was able to help me to understand the institution and to understand how I can have a voice and how I can also come to the table with skills and with a tool set and a mindset that is uniquely from a woman's perspective and an Afro-Caribbean woman. So that has really worked for me and helped me to find my voice and my space with confidence and respect for all of my other colleagues. And I believe in passing on. So I also present myself and offer myself as an ally and as a mentor for those other persons who may themselves be feeling the need to receive some guidance and to get general friendship and understanding and help with maneuvering through the institution. So that's my view. It has really benefited me to open myself to accept guidance, and through this to also be able to provide guidance as well to my other colleagues. Thank you, Golda.
That's amazing, Leslie, and thank you so much. And you know, you touched on something there, finding your space and your voice. And I mean, now is a good time as any for me to share a little bit about my own story where that is concerned. You know, growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, I'd always thought of myself as being Trinidadian born, but a Caribbean citizen. And now through the work that the bank does in the development space, I find myself being able to live out that Caribbean identity. And so you touched on it, and I wanted to just add there that, you know, I think I have found that space that I've been looking for. And excellent news as well about you being a mentor and paying it back or paying it forward. You know, that goes a really, really long way in an organization like ours where we are in the minority, so to speak. Natalia, I'm happy to have you here. Natalia is my colleague from the Afro-Descendant Alliance group. She leads the group, and we are an employee resource group dealing with many of the issues that have been mentioned so far. You know, creating a space for Afro-Latinas, Afro-Caribbean women to live up to their full potential. Natalia, tell us a little bit about the work of ADAG and how your own, how you being an Afro-Latina has played a role in the work that you do through ADAG.
Well, thank you, Golda. Thank you for the invitation, and hello to everyone. Well, as you know, ERGs are created to bring employees who share identities, lifestyles, and values together. And I really feel very honored to be the chair of the Afro-Descendant Alliance group at the IDB. And at this group, we come together as self-identified Afro-descendants who value and respect the difference of experience of being Afro in the Caribbean and in Latin America, and from a woman's point of view. So what we do at ADAG is that we help the employees have their own voice, and we boost the sense of belonging to the organization. And we do this not only by hosting events to raise awareness of our culture and our contribution to the bank and to the region, but we also create safe spaces where members can share their personal and their professional experiences on race and ethnicity. We share also information. We share key data on who the Afro-descendants at the bank are and what they're doing. And for us, it's very important to build community. So we have created a mentorship circle, a program called Mentorship Circle, where peers lead peers in sharing knowledge and tips of how to thrive and become successful within the IDB. We have positioned ourselves as a resource for the discussion of different topics, even as of attraction and recruiting Afro-descendant talent for the bank. So you see, valuing, supporting, and sustaining an ERG like ADAG is a win-win, not only for the organization, but for the people we support from ADAG.
Thanks so much for that summary, Natalia. And I mean, I am particularly proud of the work that ADAG has done in terms of the mentorship circle. Just a little bit more about that. It's almost as though we're just sitting around a virtual table, having a chat, learning from each other, from each other's expertise and experience. It really is an amazing place where we belong and find ourselves. Carina, it's so good to have you in this conversation. Carina is the country representative in Trinidad and Tobago. And the question that I have for you, Carina, is about what you think the IDB has done well in terms of benefiting your experience working here as an Afro-Caribbean woman?
Thanks, Golda. It's great to be here. Hi, everyone. And first, let me say congratulations, Natalia, to you and the team for the awesome job you're doing over at ADAG. I've participated in some of the sessions and really enjoyed them very much. I think the first thing that the bank has done well is to hire all of us. I'm very happy to be here. I think we're representing the IDB very well and have had the opportunity to do so as ourselves, as our own individual, authentic selves. We haven't had to worry too much about how we present ourselves as Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latina descendants. We can wear our hair in the way that we do. We can speak with our accents in the way that we do. And we can really present that diverse point of view in the decision-making process. And that makes everything better for the persons we serve and also for the bank as a whole.
Thank you so much, Carina. You're absolutely right. I don't think I've ever had a moment where I felt as though I couldn't be me. I couldn't speak like me. I couldn't walk like me, talk like me, ask questions like me. And so I definitely agree with the point that you made there. So we want to invite you, all of you who are watching, how many ever of you are there, to please send us your questions. We have one question already for Natalia, but I want to encourage you, send us your questions, your comments. We don't have much time in this discussion, but we'd like to get to as many of them as possible. So Natalia, there's a question that came in for you already. And it's, where should I start if I want to encourage my team to engage with an employee resource group like ADAG?
Well, if you want to encourage your team to engage with an ERG like ADAG, my invitation would be to lead by example, to act. If there is an employee resource group like ours at your organization, then join them and become an active member. If there isn't one, then create one. Convince your peers that this is something important, not only for the organization, but for your colleagues.
Thanks, Natalia. Questions coming in fast and furious now. There's a question for Leslie Ann, and it's, how do you suggest I start talking about my identity, who I am, at work?
Thank you for that question. I think, as most things in the IDB, over a coffee. Inviting a colleague or inviting someone that you would like to get to know better or get to know you better to a coffee chat where you can informally sit outside of both of your office spaces in a common place that is very casual and begin a conversation. I think it always starts with the first step, and the first step being a small one can be built upon. Thanks.
Agreed, Leslie, and you're absolutely right about that. When I first came to the bank, another Afro-Caribbean woman invited me for a coffee. I guess, both being from the Caribbean and she knowing that I was new at the bank, and with all of her experience, she just sat me down, asked me a couple of questions, and we had a chat. She opened the door over coffee. You're absolutely right about that. Carina, there's a question for you. What are some spaces in the workplace that I can step up as an ally to colleagues?
Right. So we've been hearing about some of them just now from Leslie Ann. And of course, it doesn't have to be coffee. I myself don't drink coffee. I have hot chocolates when I'm invited to coffee, especially in the winter time in headquarters. But I think it's really important for us to look for those opportunities to support our colleagues. One way is in a meeting, very simple. Give that space to those who may not be able to speak out and acknowledge them, call them by name. Some people think this is singling out, but really it is about giving spaces and opportunities for their voices to be heard and their unique perspective to be brought to the table. So definitely give that space to your colleagues to be able to speak and give their opinion in the public exchange and discourse in a decision-making meeting.
That's great, Carina. Thanks for that. Joanne, what do you consider a unique perspective or key takeaway that you would like for those watching this conversation right now? If they had to take away one thing from us, Afro-Latina and Afro-Caribbean women in this talk, what would it be?
I don't know how unique it will be, but for me, I'm heartened, you can say, that we are moving a little bit from just inclusion to belonging, you know, and just having us here representing that's important. You know, we're not just, you know, looking at the ID group being inclusive, but actually having the belonging of the people within this group, this circle of Afro-Latinas and Afro-Caribbean. This is what's important.
Thanks, Joanne. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That feeling of belonging that so many of us share and have. There's a final question, and it's actually for me, so I'm going to go ahead and ask myself. In what ways do you think you can help address an improved sense of belonging in the workplace? I think I answered it already by giving the example of what someone else did for me. By opening the door to conversation and by opening the door to friendship, I felt as though I had somewhere to go, someone to ask questions. And I think all of us have been doing the same thing. Leslie Ann mentioned it before. We've been doing the same thing in different ways. And so we must continue to do that deliberately and not passively. And I think we have been. The mentorship circle is a really great example of that. Do you guys have any other ideas about how we could foster belonging? I'm just going to throw that question out there to any of you.
Sure, I can jump in here, Golda. You know, I think, you know, we need to always give the opportunity for diverse individuals to lead various initiatives in the organization. If you see someone on your team that may be the one who appears to be different or has a different point of view, give them an opportunity to lead one of those initiatives that you might have in your team. And don't be afraid to support them in their leadership as well, because I think we need to see those examples all around us to really reinforce the idea of inclusion and belonging as well.
Amazing, Carina. Thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Leadership has a huge role to play in this. And when leaders set the example and open the door, there are so many opportunities that could arise from unexpected places as well. Any other thoughts on belonging as we close?
I think if I can add, just building on Carina's point, providing the opportunities by opening those doors and helping to build comfort levels. You mentioned, Golda, about friendships. As you know, in the IDB, it's not only about work, but it's about building those friendships that go way beyond work and perhaps even our careers in the IDB. Friends that you meet and nurture while we're here, that we take with us outside of the bank, I think, which really hits at the heart of our humanness, I think will really continue to go a long way in helping not only our Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latina women, but all of our diverse cultures, peoples in general, to feel like this is a place where we're happy and look forward to being every day for most of us for many, many years.
Thank you so much, ladies, for this time that we've had together. As I said when we started, this could have been a discussion at any coffee table within the bank in any one of the countries. Thank you so much, Carina, Joanne, Natalia, and Leslie Ann. We're really honored to have had you in this brief chat, give our viewers a perspective of what life is inside the IDB. Before I go, I just wanted to remind you that you follow the IDB LinkedIn page and you're going to find a lot of events, a lot of activities we're going to be sharing there constantly with you. So we encourage you to continue following. And we also want to remind you that there are many opportunities open at the bank. And so we would like to direct you to the careers site, and you can find it through this LinkedIn page if you would like the opportunity, like to apply for the opportunity to join us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, ladies, again, and have a wonderful afternoon.